There's a quiet hum in the world that only you can hear sometimes. A subtle vibration that rises when the day has been too bright, when the noises of other people's lives echo too loudly, when a glance, a word, a pause from someone you care about feels like it presses against the softest corners of your mind. You may have grown used to calling it overthinking, sensitivity, anxiety, or even weakness. But these labels are merely bookmarks in the story of your mind, not the definition of who you are. In reality, you are a system of infinite depth, processing information in ways that are sometimes too fast for the world to notice, too subtle for anyone to name, but perfectly human. Imagine your mind as a room filled with sunlight and shadow. In one corner, sunlight pours in, illuminating memories of laughter, soft voices, moments when someone looked at you and truly saw you. In another, shadows twist quietly. Memories that prick, fears that whisper, anxieties that curl into the edges of your thoughts. Every day, every interaction, every fleeting sensation sends dust motes swirling in this room. Some of them settle gently, some cling stubbornly. And when you feel overwhelmed, what you are experiencing is not a flaw. It is your mind attending to the dust, noticing, cataloging, feeling, processing. The science behind it is just as beautiful as it is profound. Your brain is constantly running simulations, mapping the emotional landscape of your experiences, predicting outcomes, reminding you of patterns, warning you, preparing you. This is not brokenness. It is the marvel of human cognition, an intricate orchestra of neurons firing in empathy, in survival, in hope. And when your heart races after a comment that shouldn't have mattered, when your chest tightens after someone doesn't call back, when your stomach flips at a memory you can't quite place, these are not failures. These are signals. Your body and mind are speaking the languages they know best. Alertness, curiosity, care. There are nights when your thoughts race so quickly it feels like you are drowning in them. But what if you could see that not as drowning, but as swimming in an ocean of your own consciousness? Each wave is a reflection of your humanity, the crest and fall of what it means to feel deeply. Psychologists call this emotional granularity, the ability to identify subtle nuances in your feelings. People with high emotional granularity are not broken. They are exquisitely sensitive to the shades of life. They notice when a conversation leaves a residue, when a song mirrors a hidden grief, when the scent of rain on asphalt triggers memory. These are not burdens. They are proof of depth. And yet, you've been taught to smooth out your edges, to flatten the crests and valleys of your internal landscape. Society whispers that discomfort must be fixed, sadness must be corrected, anxiety must be silenced. But your mind is not a problem to be solved. It is a terrain to be explored, a garden that needs tending, not erasure. The ancient Greeks understood this when they spoke of psyche, the soul in motion, constantly becoming, constantly in dialogue with itself and the world. Modern psychology echoes this truth. Mindfulness, acceptance, self-compassion, these are not just therapies. They are recognition that processing, not perfection, is the natural state of being. Picture a day when you notice yourself spiraling. You feel your pulse quicken, your thoughts loop, your chest tightens. Instead of rushing to quiet it, allow yourself a gentle pause. Name the feeling. Observe it as if it were a visitor entering a room. Curious, quiet, waiting to be acknowledged. I notice that I am anxious. You can say softly to yourself, I notice that I am frustrated, or I notice that my heart feels heavy. Neuroscience calls this labeling, a simple act that reduces amygdala activity, calms the emotional centers of your brain, and allows the prefrontal cortex, your rational reasoning mind, to step in. Naming is not solving. Naming is witnessing. Naming is giving yourself permission to exist fully in your emotional truth. Your triggers are not enemies. They are signals, the brain's way of saying, pay attention here. Something matters. It may be a memory that hasn't been fully felt, a boundary that's been crossed, a grief that refuses to disappear. When someone's words sting more than they should, when a situation feels heavier than logic dictates, it is not evidence that you are fragile. It is evidence that you are alive, that your nervous system remembers, that your heart is listening. The field of psychoneuroimmunology shows us that the mind and body are inseparable. Emotional processing manifests in physical sensations. That flutter in your chest, the tightening in your shoulders, the fatigue that follows a social encounter. These are your biology speaking truth. And you can learn to read it. You can learn the dialect of your own emotions, the grammar of your heart, the poetry of your mind. Therapy, journaling, mindful breathing, creative expression. These are not attempts to fix yourself. They are opportunities to converse with your own inner landscape, to interpret the signals, to understand why a word cuts, why silence hurts, why a glance feels like warmth or frost. In these practices, self-awareness blooms not as an intellectual exercise, but as a visceral, living experience. Imagine yourself in a sun-dappled forest. Leaves brush against one another with a whisper of wind. Each step you take, the earth cushions your foot, grounding you. You notice the texture of the bark, the play of light across moss, the scent of damp soil rising to meet you. In this forest, your thoughts are leaves, drifting, tumbling, sometimes catching on branches, sometimes floating to the ground. You are not trying to stop them. You are walking alongside them. And in walking alongside, you discover that processing does not need to be rushed. It does not need to be judged. It only needs to be noticed, honored, and held with gentle curiosity. There will be moments when your past sneaks into the present, when a conversation triggers the echo of old pain, when you feel your younger self rising with fear or shame. Do not fight this. Psychologists call this transference, the mind's remarkable tendency to project past patterns onto current experiences. Recognizing this is not weakness. It is wisdom. You are learning the map of your own psyche, noticing where old roads lead, and where new paths can be laid. And every time you pause, breathe, and acknowledge the echo without letting it dictate your actions, you are strengthening a new neural pathway, one of compassion, choice, and presence. Your mind is a storyteller, and you are both the protagonist and the audience. Every anxiety is a plot twist, every sorrow a subplot, every joy a luminous refrain. Cognitive behavioral research shows that the stories we tell ourselves shape our neural architecture. When you say, "I am broken," the mind interprets this as literal. When you instead say, "I am processing, I am learning, I am feeling," you begin to rewrite the narrative. You place yourself not in a story of defect, but in a story of ongoing growth. A narrative where mistakes, fears, and anxieties are chapters, not the conclusion. Consider the role of self-compassion in this journey. When you falter, when you react, when your feelings spill over, respond as you would to a friend. Psychologist Kristen Neff's studies reveal that self-compassion reduces stress, anxiety, and depression. It fosters resilience and emotional flexibility. Speak to yourself with the same gentleness you would extend to someone else. "I see you. You are doing your best. It is okay to feel this." This is not coddling. It is neuroscience in action, rewiring your brain to expect safety, warmth, and understanding from its own caretaker. And so, the next time the world feels too heavy, when your emotions feel like storms, remember that storms are not unnatural. They water the soil, they carve valleys, they reveal the terrain that sunlight cannot reach. Your mind is not failing when you cry, when you worry, when you hesitate. It is growing. It is noticing. It is alive. And in the quiet aftermath, when the sky lightens, when your breath steadies, when your heart thumps a calm rhythm once more, you will understand that processing is not breaking, it is becoming. The art of observing yourself without judgment, of witnessing your own emotional currents, is a lifelong practice. And in that practice, you discover the most radical truth. That you are enough, even when your thoughts are chaotic. That you are safe, even when your past shadows your present. That you are whole, even when your pieces are scattered. You are not broken. You are processing. You are not failing. You are evolving. You are not alone. You are human. And if you sit quietly now, closing your eyes, letting the world soften at its edges, you may feel it. The gentle thrum of your mind, the rhythm of your heart, the quiet wonder of simply being. In that space, in that awareness, psychology is not a lecture. It is a hand extended, a soft voice saying, "It is okay. You are doing more than you know. You are alive, you are feeling, you are becoming." Your story is not defined by the moments you fear, the pain you endure, or the triggers you cannot control. It is defined by your courage to process, your willingness to witness, your capacity to feel. You are a garden, a forest, a story unfolding, alive in the quiet, alive in the noise, alive in every tremor of thought and feeling. You are not broken. You are processing. And in that processing you are whole. And sometimes, processing looks like stillness. It is sitting on a windowsill as rain threads its way down glass, tracing invisible rivers that seem to mimic the flow of your own thoughts. You watch each droplet, knowing that some things cannot be rushed. Memories, grief, joy, insight. In psychology, this is called emotional processing. The brain's natural way of assimilating experiences, of turning events into understanding, of helping the nervous system return to equilibrium. When you allow yourself to pause like this, you practice what researchers call affective labeling. Noticing the emotion, naming it, and letting it pass without judgment. It is a simple act, yet it is revolutionary in its effect. It reminds you that even the most turbulent feelings are transient, that even the heaviest clouds eventually drift. You are permitted to feel deeply. In fact, your depth is your strength. Studies in positive psychology reveal that people who experience the full spectrum of emotions, not just the pleasurable, but the uncomfortable, cultivate empathy, creativity, and resilience. Those moments when your chest tightens, when your eyes sting with unshed tears, when a memory loops through your mind like a quiet echo, these are not signs of fragility. They are markers of engagement with life, proof that you are living, not merely existing. And the paradox is that by allowing yourself to feel, you are building strength. The kind that softens the edges of fear, illuminates the shadowed corners of the heart, and expands the capacity for compassion. Think of the mind as a landscape at dusk. The horizon glows with warm gold, but shadows stretch across hills and valleys. Light and dark coexist, and both are essential to the beauty of the scene. Your experiences, too, are a tapestry woven of highs and lows, of delight and discomfort. Cognitive behavioral therapy teaches us that reframing how we interpret our thoughts and feelings can reduce unnecessary suffering. But reframing is not about denying what you feel. It is about acknowledging the raw truth and then seeing it with gentle curiosity. A thought that once felt like a weight can become a clue, a guidepost, a whisper that points to an unmet need or an unhealed wound. Your mind is always working toward balance, even when it feels chaotic. Neuroplasticity, the brain's incredible ability to reorganize itself, ensures that every time you pause, reflect, journal, or breathe, you are strengthening pathways of clarity, self-compassion, and emotional regulation. You are not trapped in past patterns. You are building new ones. And every time you choose awareness over reaction, you are practicing the art of conscious processing. A skill as vital as any learned in school, a skill that teaches the nervous system to respond rather than to react, to witness rather than to collapse. Even the smallest moments can teach this. A walk in the park, the taste of warm tea, the brush of wind on your skin, these are not insignificant. Mindfulness research shows that these micro-experiences anchor the mind, train attention, and nurture well-being. By noticing the texture of life, the sounds, smells, subtle movements, you communicate to your nervous system that you are safe, that you belong in your own body, that you are present and capable of care. And this, more than anything else, is the foundation of processing. Recognizing that life is not about perfection, but about presence. Sometimes, you may notice patterns repeating, cycles of thought and emotion that seem to trap you in the same old reactions. Do not despair. This is the mind's way of highlighting lessons not yet learned, wounds not yet soothed, or needs not yet met. Psychodynamic psychology teaches us that these repetitions are natural. They are echoes of the past pressing gently into the present, invitations to understanding rather than indictments of failure. By observing without judgment, by noting the repetition with curiosity, you begin to step out of automatic response and into conscious choice. You begin to become your own guide. Processing is not linear. It is not tidy. It is a meandering river that cuts through rock, that floods its banks, that glimmers in sunlight and churns in storms. You will have days when thoughts feel like a torrent, and nights when memories press like a weight. You will feel fear, sadness, anger, nostalgia, hope, and joy, sometimes all at once. And in this river, it is okay to float, to drift, to swim. The body and mind are not broken when the current overwhelms. They are alive, attuned, responsive. The work of self-awareness is to move gently alongside the flow, to notice when the current is strong, to rest on the banks when needed, to learn the rhythm of your own tides. There is also a profound science in storytelling, in the narratives we tell ourselves about our lives. Your mind is always composing meaning, and each thought is a line in an unfolding story. Narrative psychology tells us that reshaping these narratives, from one of defect or inadequacy to one of processing, learning, and growth, rewires perception, fosters resilience, and promotes mental wellness. Every time you reflect and reframe, you are not denying your pain. You are integrating it, giving it context, turning raw emotion into insight. You are building a story where the protagonist, you, navigates complexity with courage, vulnerability, and wisdom. And sometimes, healing is cinematic. It is a quiet sunrise spilling into a dim room, the smell of coffee or rain, the soft rustle of pages turning. It is lying in bed with thoughts drifting like smoke, watching them curl and dissipate. It is the human brain recognizing safety, the parasympathetic nervous system softening, the amygdala quieting after hours of alertness. These moments are invisible but profound. They are proof that the mind, when given space and attention, knows how to restore itself. They are evidence that you are not broken. You are processing, learning, growing. Let's think for a moment about boundaries. Emotional and psychological boundaries are not walls. They are signposts. They signal to yourself and to others where you end and another begins, where safety resides, where respect is necessary. Setting and maintaining boundaries is one of the most empowering acts of processing, and yet it is often met with resistance, from the world and sometimes from yourself. Yet neuroscience shows that clear boundaries reduce anxiety, increase emotional regulation, and foster healthier relationships. By acknowledging what you can and cannot carry, by choosing when to engage and when to step back, you honor your mind's processing needs. You do not need permission to protect your emotional space. And in this protective awareness, there is beauty. Every small act of kindness toward yourself, every pause to breathe, every moment of witnessing your own mind, builds what psychologists call emotional resilience. This is not an armor that makes you invulnerable. It is a supple strength, flexible yet enduring, capable of weathering storms without collapsing. It is the recognition that processing is itself a form of care, that attending to your own internal world is as vital as caring for the external one. There will be moments when sadness rises like tidewater, unbidden and overwhelming. In these moments, remember what the body knows. That emotion is information. Crying is not a weakness. Anxiety is not failure. Pain is not proof of inadequacy. Your nervous system is cataloging data, integrating experience, and preparing you for greater understanding. By observing these moments without judgment, by allowing them to exist and flow through you, you participate in a sacred act, the conscious processing of life itself. And in the spaces between thoughts, in the pauses between waves of feeling, there is awareness, a quiet, luminous presence that watches without criticism, that knows without rushing, that holds without grasping. Mindfulness research demonstrates that these pauses strengthen attention, emotional regulation, and self-compassion. They are proof that the mind is capable of witnessing itself, capable of healing, capable of learning its own language. And you, in your courage to sit in these pauses, are the steward of that inner world. Every day, processing manifests in small victories. You notice when you react differently to a familiar trigger. You pause instead of lashing out. You journal instead of burying. You breathe instead of collapsing. Each act, seemingly minor, rewires neural pathways. Cognitive behavioral studies show that repeated small actions reinforce healthier habits, strengthen emotional intelligence, and increase self-awareness. These are not small victories. They are profound transformations, evidence that the mind, given attention and care, can flourish. And so you move through the world, carrying your mind like a lantern. Sometimes it flickers. Sometimes it burns bright. Sometimes the wind of circumstance threatens to snuff it out. Yet the very act of holding it, of attending to it, of walking gently with your own thoughts and feelings, is an act of radical courage. The field of positive psychology reminds us that resilience is cultivated through repeated engagement, through reflection, through meaning-making. By processing, you are not merely surviving. You are thriving. The mind is a work of art, a universe contained within a skull, a theater of light and shadow, pattern and chaos. To be human is to live in that theater fully, to feel, to notice, to question, to stumble, to rise. Neuroscience, psychology, philosophy, and poetry converge on this truth. Processing is natural. It is essential. It is sacred. And the only judgment that matters is your own. The choice to see yourself with kindness, curiosity, and wonder. You are not broken. You are not failing. You are processing. You are learning. You are feeling. You are evolving. You are alive, fully and deeply, in a world that moves too fast to notice, and yet you notice anyway. And in noticing, in honoring, in witnessing, you become your own safe place. You become a mind in motion, a heart in flow, a consciousness expanding. You become the quiet miracle of life attending to itself.